Welcome to Double Vision Podcast. We're identical twin sisters who grew up with retinitis pigmentosa, a degenerative eye condition. I'm Janelle, born 4 minutes earlier, so naturally, I get to go first. And I also work as a therapist, so I'm drawn to stories of healing and resilience.
And I'm Joy. I work in the field of education, and I'm also a writer. I like to bring a creative lens to how we talk about blindness.
Though we look alike, we've often seen this disease and life through very different lenses.
That's why we created Double Vision Blog, to share our stories, our struggles, and our laughter.
Which is now morphing into a podcast.
To remind us that there's no single right way to navigate blindness.
On this podcast, we focus on the social and emotional impacts of losing vision,
the parts of the journey that don't show up on the eye charts. Welcome back to Double Vision Podcast. This is your co-host Janelle, along with my sister Joy, and today we are so excited to have Chef Deborah from the Blind Kitchen joining us to talk about belonging, cooking up belonging this holiday season. As we move into the holidays, we're very aware of the ways that we as people with vision loss sometimes don't feel included, and other ways in which a kitchen can be a very inviting, welcoming space. So, Chef Deborah, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Tell our listeners real briefly about yourself and your business.
Well, I own an online business called The Blind Kitchen, and we sell adaptive culinary tools for people with vision loss who want to cook safely, confidently, and independently. And we also have a lot of tips and strategies that don't even involve tools that I've learned over the years from presentations such as this. I am a trained chef. I was the only blind student in culinary school, so I had to solve a lot of problems, and that's how The Blind Kitchen came to be.
Love it. Well, I know Joy and I have both ordered lots of different tools, and even our friends who are sighted have started ordering from your website because of the wide range of universal techniques and tools that you sell. So we're excited to jump into this conversation and ask you, first off, what makes a kitchen feel welcoming to you?
To me, I grew up one of 12 children, and Christmas and Thanksgiving and birthdays, they were all big, largely celebrated holidays. And it's the smells, it's the sounds. We would be singing, certainly tasting all the way through. So I think it's a combination of things that help make a kitchen into a welcoming, celebratory place.
Wow, that's awesome. Can you tell us about a time when you felt part of the action in a kitchen, and maybe a time when you felt that you weren't part of the action?
Yeah. So at home, I grew up thinking we all thought I had normal vision. We now know that there were problems from retinitis pigmentosa, but they hadn't manifested themselves in a way that caused me problems at that point. So I grew up in Indiana. The girls did the work in the kitchen and the boys did all the work outside. And so dishes, singing with my sisters was I hated doing dishes, but I loved the camaraderie of my sisters in the kitchen. And we had to do that every single night.
This is Janelle. I'm still stuck on 12 children. That's just, my brain is having trouble wrapping around. Like Joy and I are also from a big Midwest family, not quite that big. So I'm impressed. And I'm curious, with a big family like that, how did you find your place in the kitchen, and how has that changed over time as you've lost vision?
It couldn't be more polar in nature. I was a tomboy. I did not want to cook or clean or help with that. And you can imagine, I have 6 sisters, and my mother was pregnant most of the time. I'm one of the older ones. And so she didn't have one-on-one time with us in front of a stove. So I didn't really know how to cook. I did what I was told. My contribution to a big dinner was peeling 10 pounds of potatoes. It wasn't exactly very chefy. But after I lost my vision and I had to figure out what I wanted to do for work, I knew I wanted to teach adults. And I was getting my blind skills classes at the Oregon Commission for the Blind, and I was taking a meal prep class. And a light bulb went on in my head, and it said, I'd like to teach this. I would enjoy it. And then the light bulb went off because I told myself, you don't know how to cook. How are you going to teach it? So that's how I ended up going to culinary school. And I fell in love with cooking completely. I've always enjoyed eating, but the art and the science and the history. It was all right up my alley, and even the French. Yep.
That is awesome. This is Joy, and I've heard you speak a little bit about this before, but I'd love for our listeners to hear what are some experiences during your time in culinary school that you feel stick out to you as far as adaptations that you needed to make, or things that you were able to do to kind of feel like you had a place in the kitchen?
At the beginning of this, you brought up the isolation that blindness can impose on a person, that we feel like we're different than. And it was that way in culinary school. First of all, I'm no spring chicken. Most of the kids were in their late teens or early 20s, and I was older than that. So there was that difference. But then when you have vision loss, it's also, you can't make eye contact. I didn't want to interrupt their conversations. I could hear them near me, but they were talking to each other, not to me. And it's kind of rude to interrupt. And so it took a while for them. And I think people can be afraid of people with vision loss, that they're going to hurt their feelings, or, they're going to say something wrong, or we're going to sue them, or, there's all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
But one woman reached out to me. I'm still friends with her. And she said, so I used to eat lunch in the locker room. I didn't know where they all went. They all just disappeared at lunchtime, and I wasn't invited. So and then one day, one woman came up to me and said, Deborah, would you like to join us for lunch? And I said, I'd love that. And from then on, they realized I was not fragile. I would not break. And I had a sense of humor, and things went on. But that was probably about 2 months into the program.
Yeah, that's so interesting just to hear, like, from one person thinking of including you and inviting you in, that helped you be part of the group. And then from there on, you were able to be part of the group. And I'm sure they got to know your amazing personality as well. And I'm curious, having had that experience, what are some things that you do to make your kitchen an inviting and welcoming place for others who might want that same sense of belonging?
Well, you have to think creatively. People with vision loss, even people that are trained, it's very, very difficult to cook in a strange kitchen. The controls are different, location of things are different. So when I am entertaining in my home, I try and think of jobs that people can do standing in one place. The tools are in a predictable location that they would need, like maybe it's peeling potatoes, or it could be a lot of different things. But I try and really think in advance, what is this person going to need, so that they aren't constantly asking me, do you have this? Do you have that? Do you have that? Just to have it all in place so that they can enjoy the experience. And then instead of asking me, where is the potato peeler? They can say, how was your day? We can have a different conversation other than the tasks we're performing.
I love the simplicity and practicality of that advice. And that's actually one of the things that I love about the Blind Kitchen, because it's not blind tools, so to speak. It's everyday universal design cooking utensils that happen to be helpful for people without sight. And Janelle has gotten me a few items from the Blind Kitchen that I find really helpful. And I am curious if you could tell our listeners a little bit about some of the ways that you recommend adapting some of your favorite tools, I guess, and for adaptive cooking to make the kitchen experience both enjoyable and safe.
Good question. So the tool I probably could not live without are the work trays. And what they are standard cafeteria trays that you get in a school or a hospital, but they're bigger so that you have more working space. But their slightly curved sides help control anything from falling off. Like I used to use a wood cutting board, but things just would fall off the edges onto the counter all the time because there was nothing to capture it. I just use one of these trays now for a cutting board, and I don't end up with a mess on my counter. Or if I'm measuring or a liquid ingredient or a dry ingredient, I used to knock things over when I could see. So I'm more careful now that I have vision loss, but still sometimes things spill. It happens to all humans. And so if it does, now it's going to be contained more than likely in that contained area. And I might even be able to salvage, depending on the ingredient, depending on how clean the tray was when I made the spill.
I love those trays. This is Janelle. I use them every day and I do find them so helpful and just not losing, because you know how you're like, where'd I put this? Where'd I put that? Things are just scattered, but just having everything on one tray in one place with those little edges makes the world of difference, so that you can just have a nice conversation and enjoy the people that you're in the kitchen with, rather than constantly being like, where's this? Where's that? What am I doing next?
No, you're exactly right. And actually, I heard a sighted chef on TV say, don't turn on the stove until you're ready. And I use those work trays to gather all the ingredients. If I'm making a sauce, I might have the vinegar and the Worcestershire sauce or soy sauce. So then when I go to the refrigerator, if I'm looking for a certain kind of hot sauce or other kind of sauce, if my stove is on and I hear the pan sizzling and my head's in the refrigerator trying to find the soy sauce, where did it go? Where did it move to? I'm panicking at that point. It's no longer fun. It is no longer fun because now I'm worried about the pan and worried about this. But if I gather all of those things in advance and know they're there, and now then I'll know if I'm missing something. I won't even start to cook if I need an ingredient, or I'll do a different plan. And so that has really helped me. Don't start cooking until you're ready to cook. And those trays play a big part in that.
Yeah, I would imagine that helps to reduce ruining food or having injuries, just to have that preparation. I'm also curious, you mentioned a sighted chef as well, and I'm wondering what types of misconceptions or misunderstandings you've noticed about blind chefs or blind cooks.
I think the biggest misconception of the public is that there are only a few of us or only one of us. And there are a lot of cooks, some culinary trained, others not, that are fabulous cooks. And they don't even use my tools. A lot of them have been blind since birth and have just learned how to get along and do the cooking. I've met probably 10 culinary trained people with vision loss that are either working in the industry or teaching in the industry or own a little restaurant or whatever. It's not like I'm a unicorn. There are a lot out here. I just tend to have a little bit of a platform because of the Blind Kitchen, where people tend to maybe have heard of me, but there are a lot more than me out there.
Awesome. And is it something where you connect with them online, or have you guys ever had like an in-person gathering of chefs where you kind of share your tips or cook together? Is that something that's ever happened?
It has not happened, but it is on the to-do list. We're all over the country and some even international, but I do keep a list of names on my computer so that if I ever can come up with a way to do things. And I was actually just talking to some people in Bermuda. There's a Curiosity on the Rock podcast by Scott Simons, and he has vision loss as well. And we were talking about maybe doing a fundraiser, that the meal's prepared by cooks with vision loss, and then we make all the other people dine in the dark.
Oh, fun. I mean, if that's in Bermuda, while Joy and I don't have the level of training that you have, we'd be willing to participate in a trip to Bermuda.
We would eat.
Yeah.
We were eaters.
We would come and eat.
I will absolutely add your names to the list. You've expressed an interest, and I know you both can cook very competently, even though you haven't invited me to dinner yet, but that's another thing.
Yeah, that'll be coming next. I mean, over the years of blogging, Joy and I have written some posts about what it's like to attend holidays at other people's houses and wanting to feel useful, wanting to feel like we're part of it. I mean, we all want to be welcomed in and have a job and not just be sat in a corner and say like, we'll come back later for you, right? Like Joy had this post that she wrote called Just Keep Tossing the Salad. And we at the time did not realize that had another meaning, but that's for another story.
We're Midwest raised girls. And so I don't know about such things, but I was later told, and then I was quite embarrassed.
But Joy wrote about how at times she just tries to find a job where she can just keep doing the same job in the kitchen so that she can just still be part of the action. Can you share a time where you felt like that for yourself, or you noticed the students that you were training had similar experiences?
Yeah, I get emails and phone calls and I talk with people, and it is a huge problem trying to help people with vision loss feel part of it, because before, age related vision loss is a big thing right now. The baby boomers are aging, and it probably will be for about another 20 years. And they don't identify as blind or visually impaired, but, there may be, grandma can't see as well as she used to. So instead of being in the kitchen, being the matriarch or the patriarch that's shouting all the orders and helping to run the kitchen show there, they're sitting on the couch listening to a football game and feeling very left out, because the kitchen is a place where you share stories and culture and history and jokes and a lot of love happens in there. So I would encourage anyone that's listening that has someone with vision loss that used to like to cook, to invite them, ask them what they would like to do. You can problem solve this in advance. If they want to peel the potatoes, there are ways to do that. We have a special peeler on our website, but maybe there's another one that they can use. Most people don't burn or cut themselves catastrophically. The fear is bigger than the reality. And so let them take a chance on it. We have a cut-resistant glove they could wear, and that will help protect their hands from blades and things like that. There are answers to these problems, is what I'm saying. And if you take the initiative to go sit next to them on the couch and say, hey, what would you like to help with in the kitchen? And if you're prepared ahead of time, there's no reason that person can't be part of that warm holiday magic again.
Deborah, I love what you're saying, especially just about taking the time to sit next to someone and say, hey, welcome in, and I trust you, even if you do feel a little bit nervous about having someone in your kitchen who has vision loss or needs to do something in a different way. I'll say that when I went to a friend's house and everybody was cooking once and she handed me a knife and a cutting board, I felt like, oh my gosh, she handed me a knife and a cutting board, like so excited. I didn't feel afraid. I just felt like, oh my gosh, she trusts me, because I've also had experiences where people have said, oh my gosh, you scare the hell out of me in the kitchen. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't feel good. You know what I mean?
Trust is a big thing, and being trusted is very important to most of us. And so because of my platform, most people don't question me in the kitchen. They kind of know I've got a reputation for being safe and clean and organized and all that. But not everyone has that platform. It doesn't mean they're not capable. And so I think if anyone listening could understand that Janelle, if they handed you a knife and a potato, they trusted you.
And that's was Joy, but yeah.
Oh, sorry, Joy.
I should have said it was confusing. Well, this is Janelle. I've seen Deborah live. So Deborah and I had the chance last spring at a youth conference, and I got to co-facilitate a session with you. And it was the funniest thing, though, because we had all these activities planned for youth, and we were thinking our volunteers would all be teenagers. Well, Deborah asked for a volunteer, and this little 6-year-old with quite the personality comes up, and she's like, what's this? What's that? And she's grabbing at all these sharp tools. And Deborah, you just so calmly were like, hey there, how about you just keep your hands right in this little bowl here? This is a great place for your hands to be. I mean, you directed her so kindly and so effortlessly. I was freaking out on the inside. I'm like, what is this kid going to grab? I am standing here. I can't see. Is she going to be stabbing? So that was a really fun experience to see how calm you are in the midst of unexpected things in the kitchen.
I had actually done a workshop where that little girl attended, and we used toaster bags to make quesadillas. So I knew her, and she is an amazing little girl. But yeah, I was nervous too. I was like, okay, now where are your hands? I need to know where your hands are right now. But her parents are wonderful, and I'm sure they would have protected her. But I had that panic moment as well. I'm glad it didn't show.
I love that. Okay, this is Joy again. Before I ask my next question, I have to ask like a pre-question. Have you ever watched the show The Bear?
I love The Bear. Chicago. I love The Bear. I mean, I thought my family was dysfunctional. Mine looks like Beaver Cleaver compared to them.
So, okay, I love that show too, but when I watch it, when they're in that bustling kitchen and they're like, yes, chef, head chef, and they're all talking at once and they have these commands that are very audible, but also there's so much going on, and my anxiety level rises to like 100. And I'm wondering, when you are watching that show, what comes up for you? And is there any validity to some of the scenes that take place as far as working in a restaurant kitchen and all the commands, and what are your experiences with that?
Yeah, the commands are real. Long before I went to culinary school, you'll hear them. Yes, chef, no chef, door chef, sharp knife. The communication lends itself well to cooking with vision loss because people are talking like that. Now that was audio described, so I was able to kind of know what was going on for the most part. But they always make it more dramatic. It wasn't that fast and nor that efficient later in the episodes. But what was interesting was I loved that communication behind you, door, corner, that lent itself well to my vision loss. But when we had practicals where we had to cook something within a certain amount of time to make 3 plates, which is hard to do just for the record to look consistent, that communication went right out the window. Everybody's panicking, 5 minutes, students, and then people start running faster. And I was the only cane user. So I just said, I had to make decisions because I'm also very competitive as well. And I like to do well. So I lost less points by not being done on time than I would lose more points if it wasn't seasoned well or presented well. So I just put my focus on those because that was more important to me and also to the chefs. So there were other people that didn't finish on time, our weekly practicals, but I was the only one that never finished on time.
Hey, no, I like what you're saying, though. I agree. I mean, that's kind of for life too, right? Just to taking time. It's worth the time to make things really good. And kind of leading into this next question too, I'm wondering, how has cooking helped to foster a sense of not only independence for you, but interdependence and community in your life?
Everybody has to eat. And there are a lot of people that like to cook out there. So it has created this unique position that I have and this skill set that a lot of people with vision loss don't have. It has created a lot of communication where, how do you do this? How am I possibly going to do this? And it just is a bridge builder. Food just is. Food and wine and dining out. They say, find something you love to do and then find a way to get paid for it. I'm still working on the way to get paid for it. I'm getting there. But I have found something that just creates community, just by the nature of it.
Chef Deborah, thank you so much for joining us today. As we move towards the close of this episode, we want to ask what projects you have going on. Is there anything that you'd like listeners to know about what you have coming up?
Yes. So I have created curriculum and I'm trying to get it out into the world that teaches sighted parents who have children with vision loss how to get them into the kitchen safely so they can help them grow up to be independent. Parents very understandably want to wrap their children with vision loss in bubble wrap and not let them near the knives or the stove. But there are degrees and things you can do to introduce your children to cooking, like wearing the cut glove. They come in sizes extra small, using different kinds of slicers, like, hard-boiled egg slicers that, with the wires. We have a large one. They can slice bananas with that just by pushing down a handle, and now you've got 10 slices, or strawberries. So there are a lot of things parents can do, but parents don't get the education. There's no funding for it, so it's a real challenge. But they can also very easily make their kitchens, their stoves, their microwaves, their different appliances accessible to their children with vision loss that doesn't get in the way of the people in the household that can see. But how do you know if you don't know? So that's my passion project right now. And I'm still, it's going to have to take creativity because there's just not funding for it.
Yeah. And I love how that's such a culture shift, Deborah. I remember reading a book when my youngest was 3 years old called Bringing Up Bébé, at French. And it talked about how French parents really bring kids into the kitchen right away. And so I had her cooking, a yogurt cake and things she could do and measuring things out since the age of 3. And now she loves cooking. And so I love that you're working on that curriculum. It's so important. And I'm really excited too, just about all of the the products at the Blind Kitchen. If somebody wanted to get an early gift for somebody with the holidays coming up, how would they go about doing that through the Blind Kitchen? And is there shipping costs, and how does all that work?
Yeah, good question. So you go to theblindkitchen.com, include the word "the," that's important, or you'll get sent to Boston. So you go to theblindkitchen.com, and we have gift cards if you want your and we have them both plastic gift cards, physical ones that we can send, or you could get them via email. So even if you're at the last minute in hearing this podcast, it can be sent to them, the code via email that they can do their own shopping. Or you can write to me at info@theblindkitchen.com. If you have some type of a challenge or a question, I monitor that email box, and I love getting emails from people, and including how to include your family members with vision loss, no matter what age they are. Some creative ways that you can bridge that gap and allow them to be included in such important and festive family fun.
Thank you so much. I love that, Deborah. And I love how your website has something for everyone. Like you were mentioning earlier, aging adults with vision loss, and now youth with vision loss. Like everyone across the lifespan can find something, some sort of tool to help be more involved in kitchen prep throughout the whole year, but especially with the holidays coming up, as all of us will be cooking and baking more than we typically do. This is a great time to get some new tools and learn some new skills. I love your how-to videos on your website too, by the way. They're so helpful, and would love listeners to go check those out. For such heavy items, it's all free for shipping, right?
Oh, good point. Yes. And I live in Portland, Oregon. That's where the business is located. So there's no retail tax at all in the state of Oregon. And we ship free matter for the blind. So there's no shipping costs.
Great.
So for all orders over $25, it's free shipping.
Perfect. That
Love
is awesome.
that.
Well, Joy and I want to invite you to play a game that we've been adding to the ends of each of our episodes called Twin Telepathy. So we will say a word, and then I'll say 1, 2, 3, and all three of us will try to say the next word, the fill in the blank word, to complete the sentence. And it's going to be cooking related. And we'll just see if we can match and how our minds work. The first word is hot. 1, 2, 3.
Cocoa.
Potato. Okay, so we had hot cocoa, potato, and what did you say, Joy?
Hot pot.
Hot pot. Okay, so we did not a match. Okay.
Maybe we're not triplets.
Yeah, maybe not. All right, so for this one, I'm going to say sweet. 1, 2, 3. Potato. Sweet salt. Okay, I clearly can only think of potato because that's what I said for both.
I'm going to say potato no matter what next time.
Okay, and then finally, our last word is going to be cranberry. Cranberry, 1, 2, 3, sauce.
We are triplets.
Thank you, Chef Deborah. We'll look forward to connecting with you again soon.
Thank you, Chef Joy and Chef Janelle. I appreciate it.
Yes, Chef.
Thank you for listening to Double Vision Podcast. If you found this valuable, we'd love for you to leave us a review on the podcast platform of your choice or subscribe on YouTube. We'd also love for you to keep in touch with us on social media, Facebook, Instagram. And if you have an idea for an episode or something that you'd like to process, please feel free to leave us a voice message at 949-414-8336 or send us an email at mail@doublevisionblog.com. All of this is also listed in the show notes.